This is an incoming transmission from the Jersey Shore.
This is Financial Insanity with Scott McLean, powered by McLean Advisory Group. Today you'll hear some of the most important financial information and wealth-building techniques available anywhere.
Let's get this party started, huh?
Do you have a question for Scott and the team?
Am I on the air?
609-488-4646. That's 609-488-4646.
We'll get that information to them by radio.
Now, Financial Insanity with Scott McLean.
We've continued to avoid government shutdowns this year. Meanwhile, the debt just continues to pile on. As we're winding down the year 2023, going to look at some of the top financial and retirement headlines of the year. Thank you so much for joining us. This is Financial Insanity, out-of-the-box thinking for your financial sanity. I'm Alex Dingman, along with Scott McLean, McLean Advisory Group. And Scott thought it was interesting, the list of some of the A-list celebrities who retired here in 2023. You got famous actor Michael Caine, who says he's retiring at the age 90.
Love it.
British actor, two-time Oscar winner, says, I keep saying I'm going to retire. Well, I am now. The only parts I'm liable to get now are 90-year-old men, or maybe 85. So I thought I might as well leave with all of this. Tom Brady finally retired, we think, for real this time, earlier this year. But, man, he played for a long, I think age 44 or something, he was still playing.
Yeah, he had a long career.
Yeah, absolutely. Another long career, Miguel Cabrera in baseball, retired after 21 seasons.
That's a very long time.
Another Hall of Famer there, sure thing. And then some celebrities turning 65 this year, becoming eligible for Medicare. Ellen DeGeneres, Michelle Pfeiffer, Drew Carey, who's now hosting The Price is Right. You got Kevin Bacon, Madonna, and Jamie Lee Curtis.
Damn, I guess we're all getting old.
And I guess that's your initial reaction. Yeah.
Yeah, December 30th. I'll take some presents. That's my birthday.
There you go, baby.
I guess I'm with the wonderful people, although their wallets are a little bit thicker than mine. But I need to say we made it to 65. Other people.
There you go. Yeah, that's quite the list there, Scott. And I know one thing that really points out is just the longevity of people working. And I think, you see somebody like Tom Brady, you see somebody like Michael Caine, and, we see it in our politicians as well as you got more than 50 U.S. senators are at least 65. The average senatorial retirement age is 71. So is this just a sign of, where we're at as a society?
Well, first of all, I think about the thought about wisdom, and you could be the smartest person in the world, but it takes wisdom. The wisdom is probably the biggest gift we should all pray for. And the older we get, the more we learn. And when we learn, we know what to avoid. It's almost like telling your son, don't run out in the street, and you're yelling at your son or daughter. And of course, you know what could happen. You know the rest of the story, Paul Harvey would say. The question is, when you get older, you get wiser, hopefully. If you get wiser, you can offer so much. So the area of politicians being so old in the game, well, if they're washed up, they should get the heck out. But on the other side, we knew the younger people coming in, they have this piss and vinegar. They want to change the world in the political world, which I appreciate, and they have new insight. But you take new insights with older, and if they're pliable, if they're like the Gumby doll, the Gumby years ago, and they can mold themselves. And the wiser adults, the older people, I should say, should help guide the younger people. Throughout the scriptures, it talks about the wisdom of the wise. And you have wise people around you. And this is what we should have in our government. And when you think about the actors, they've got a lot of wisdom. They're helping younger people. And you think about all this. So the older you get, I think it's exciting.
Yeah.
Don't get crusty, sit in your chair and watch The Price is Right. Get out and make history. Don't read about history. I think that's what's exciting about what I see. And I think about this finances. It's almost like if you look at history, and I spoke about to you this earlier, when you talk about history, if you were an investor back in 1929 to 1950s, you would have avoided the stock market because you saw what happened. Imagine being an investor, and now you saw a stock market. Then always see the roaring booms. Let's go back a new advisor, and the new advisor here is 1982 to 2000, the fastest bull market in history. Now, which advisor do you want? One advisor is saying one thing, one advisor is saying the other. And you're putting it together. And you're saying, where do I follow? Alex, I had a meeting the other day. I wanted to talk about wisdom. And when a person came to me and said, Scott, you know what? Our accounts went up around 4% this year. I said, well, wait a minute. You're incorrect. Let me help you understand. You see, the stock market this year roared. We did not expect that to happen, Alex. And it absolutely roared fiscal year to date, January to today's recording. And the market is up very, very substantial. But if we go back 2 years ago, old money versus new money, you're up about 5%, 4 or 5%. We did pretty good over the old money versus new money. If you're out there and you're wondering about your portfolio, you're wondering about wisdom, guy or gal doing the right thing, are they investing in the right markets? This is very challenging right now. And I've seen the markets, which I did not expect, the roaring of the NASDAQ. The tech stocks do as tremendously well as they've done so far year to date. I can tell you, now we need to compare. If you've had your money in the market for 5 years, was it moved around? Was it reallocated? Wisdom tells you to reallocate and understand what's going on in the market, not set it and forget it. And this, we talk about the movie actors of their ages. We talk about the athletes and their ages. Well, you know what? When you get a little older and you start, you know what? I'm training younger people. They need to, how can we put this whole piece of pie together and really make it wonderful for the clients?
Absolutely.
For the movie watchers, the football players, and the sports. This is important.
Well,
this is lost art, Alex.
Absolutely. And Scott, if people want to use your wisdom, or maybe they just want to wish you a happy birthday, then
I'll take both.
How could people get a hold of you, Scott?
I'd love you to give me a call at the air, off the air, 609-488-4646. Our marketing department will make it very well worth your talk with me. Formulate your questions, 609-488-4646. We'll spend a few minutes off the air, no cost, no obligation. And if I can help guide you or lead you to a better place to look into, I'll give you some ideas. I can tell you that. 609-488-4646. I look forward to hearing talking to you.
Absolutely. As we're talking about the end of the year and we're looking ahead to 2024 as well. But let's look at some of the biggest financial stories that we've discussed throughout the year here on Financial Insanity, Scott. And let's look at these notes here. And I know the first thing that jumps out, and it just continues to grow, our national debt, currently more than $33 trillion. That's a lot of money, Scott.
It is. And for our listeners, what I'm looking at is you look at treasuries, a safe investment. The government has to refinance almost 30% of treasuries. Let me give you a hint. If they have to refinance debt, if you have to refinance debt, you want to refinance at a lower interest rate or at a higher interest rate, which tells me to tell you listening right now, if you can find longer term vehicles, 3, 5, 7-year vehicles. I won't go through what they are right now because there's a lot of tools out there that could get you 5.5% over the next 3, 5, or 7 years. I would encourage you to really look at that for those income people who want income, because as the debt comes due, they have to print more money. And if they're printing more money, they're going to print at what? A lower rate, which means if you can lock into a higher rate, the inverse would be the value of these, let's say a bond or preferred or BDC, could go up as rates go down. This could be a wonderful time to reevaluate with wisdom your portfolio, because I can tell you this debt, it is climbing more than ever. I can tell you if I was a foreigner from overseas, I would want to come to America, the best place in the world. But wait a minute, we've got to really check our wallets. Can we afford this? So I can tell you with the wisdom of the wise, be very careful. We need to fix this border crisis. I'm not Democrat or Republican. I'm telling you, we got a lot of people we have to pay out, and it's going to hurt you listening to me, your wallet and your investment skills. Be very careful.
Yeah, absolutely. And also, as this government spending, national debt, it goes up and up, and we're getting closer and closer to the expiration of our current tax policy, Scott. So what does that mean for folks? It's something that we got to prepare for.
You're so correct, because as we look at the current, could they be a 1980s situation where President Reagan came in and lowered our taxes? It took 2 years before the market actually took off and reset. And I can tell you, there's so much debt out there that's going to affect, of course, more debt called health insurance. With the people coming across, they have no insurance. They got to pay that out. Schooling. There's a lot of debts unknown, just, of course, our deficit. And, of course, taxation is a one way of taking care of debt, is we'll just tax more people. Well, you better pay attention, because I can tell you the IRS is going to want to find your money. They're going to find the mistakes. And that's why they want to hire more people, because they know we're in deep daggum doo-doo. And I can tell you, if you're out there, stay on top of it. We did one show, Alex. We talked about taxes and what to be aware of. But we also talk now, be aware of the taxes, your investments, how it's taxed, and how to pull money out when you're starting to retire. Because this, again, taking the money from the wrong accounts and the government changing the tax rate could really affect your income.
Yeah. And whether we're talking tax strategies, we're talking healthcare, we're talking legacy planning, there's a lot that goes into a complete retirement plan, Scott. And I know that's what you can help folks with. Give that number again for people if they hear something or if they just have questions and they might want to reach out.
What a great time of year to plan for your retirement, plan for your legal documents and will, power of attorney, living will, and your taxes. 609-488-4646 is the number to call if you'd like to speak to me off the air. And the reason why is because, there's nothing worse than going to a new year. You have all the goals and dreams. You have all these new desires. Maybe you joined a gym and you want to get skinny again. And then, of course, 2 months later, you start to eat the bonbons. Well, you know what? When it comes to finances, stop eating the bonbons and take action. Don't put this off. If you've got something on your mind, number one, write it down. Number two, analyze your questions. I want a better return on my investments. I want lower taxes. Write those down. And then if you want to give our studios a call and say, Scott, I'd like to talk to you a little bit about it. Or maybe just better yet, come in. Or, you know what, my guy, my financial advisor, my guy or my gal, they don't really talk about taxes, legal, and investments all at once. Then you probably need to say, you know what? Let's give Scott a call. 609-488-4646. No cost, no obligation. I will not bend your arm and twist you to do business with me. Let's meet. Let's see each other. Let's see if we can make an impact on your life as we go into a new year.
This is Financial Insanity, out-of-the-box thinking for your financial sanity.
Hi, this is Bonnie from McLean Advisory Group, wishing you comfort, hope, and joy. Happy holidays. Thanks for listening.
Who likes uncertainty? Wall Street certainly does not. With near record inflation and partisan politics, there's a lot of uncertainty right now. What will America's future look like? What will your future look like? Will your taxes go up? Will your savings go down? For more than 40 years here in the Jersey Shore area, Scott McLean and the team at McLean Advisory Group have seen uncertainty come and go. No matter what the future holds, Scott can help you create a plan designed to preserve your finances in uncertain times. And it's not a matter of if those uncertain times will show up, but when. Call 609-488-4646 now to meet with Scott McLean and the team at McLean Advisory Group. If uncertainty is causing you to feel insecure, Scott McLean might be able to help. Call 609-488-4646 and schedule your visit today. Again, that's 609-488-4646. Investment advice is offered through Bell Point Asset Management, LLC. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal. This is Financial Insanity with Scott McLean, presented by McLean Advisory Group.
Do you know how much income you'll need in retirement? There isn't one number that's right for everyone. Income needs in retirement are unique to each person or couple, and there are some questions, though, that can help you plan for retirement. We're going to go through those today. Thank you so much for joining us right here on Financial Insanity. I'm Alex Dingman alongside advisor Scott McLean, McLean Advisory Group. And Scott, we got 6 questions to go through, so let's just jump into it, my friend. The first essential question to ask as you're looking to think, how much income am I going to need in retirement? The first question, well, what are you spending right now? We got to know what that answer is, right, Scott?
It's amazing. I just had a meeting with a lovely couple, and we're doing their planning. And the wife, she does the books, and the husband came in for the first time. I met her a couple times, and I said, look, for us to move forward, I've got to speak to your husband. I love meeting with spouses because I got to make sure we're all on the same page. And I said, by the way, what are you spending right now? Same question you just asked. What is your monthly outflow? What are you getting on your checkbook? What are you actually getting on income? What are you spending? And she looked at me because I caught her off guard. She goes, wow, you're catching me off guard. I said, yeah, but this number should be in the back of your mind somewhere because you guys are about to retire and you both have juicy pensions. My question when I see you guys or see people, Alex, is how much are you spending right now? And she goes, started adding up line by line by line what she's spending. The challenge is when she's spending that much money, when they spend that much money, what does your retirement look like is the question I ask. In other words, are we going on a trip? Are we traveling by plane, train, boat? Maybe you have an RV. We have to calculate those numbers. But the first number, what are we spending right now before we retire? And as we're in retirement, the question is, will that number stay the same? When will the mortgage be off? So Alex, this is a very critical number. And she said, Scott, I really don't know. I said, before we do anything, before we move any money around, before we move anything, your investments and your choices, I like to know this first to find out, do we have enough emergency fund? Do we have enough income? And if your lights go dim, you go in the nursing home, what's our backup plan? And this is important. What are we spending now? Good way to start that, Alex, because a lot of people don't know that number. You should have that number in your mind.
Yep.
And the goal is to beat it. Can I save money or do I need more money?
Yep. Much like, you go to the doctor to face reality when it comes to your health, it's much like needing to go to an advisor to really get a reality check when it comes to your finances. And so this is where you just got to be real, you got to be honest, and Scott can have this conversation as we're going over the essential questions to ask when determining how much income a person's going to need in retirement. And the second question here, Scott, is how will your spending change in retirement? For instance, do you dream of traveling, plan to move out of the state? There's a lot of different things you could spend money on, obviously.
There's a lot of things
I can think of a few.
Yeah, you might be eating out more money. And, of course, we have inflation that'll evaporate your wallet quickly. Maybe your dreams and goals of traveling. What kind of, like I just said, maybe you have an RV. Do we figure out the cost of gas? Could it be going up? Maybe you're thinking about moving or selling a house. These are critical questions. We just spoke to a person last week. They have two beautiful properties, one here in New Jersey and one in Pennsylvania, the beautiful Poconos. They have a nice capital gain of around $200,000 capital gain. And if they sold it, which they were thinking about, I said, well, did you plan on the taxes on the capital gain? And they said, well, no, we're going to pay taxes. I said, yeah, let's just figure this out. We kind of figured out. But if they put the money into a specialized REIT, real estate investment trust, and you have A, liquidity so you can pull out the principal, but B, pay no taxes, well, you should have seen their eyes light up. These are some strategies that are out there. Now, if you're going to start to travel and what does your retirement look like? How much you think you're going to spend? Again, it's a guesstimate. But in the early years of retirement, Alex, it's called the go-go years. Maybe in the first 10 years, you're really going to be blowing and going. You're going to have some fun. And I can tell you, you're going to spend more money than you thought. But keeping your eye on that budget. No one likes the cuss word, the B cuss word budget. But if we're keeping our eye on the cuss word budget, we know what we're spending, which is the first question you asked. We know what we need to stay around. This could help you. Or maybe some of you are thinking, well, if my mom and dad pass away, I have extra money. Well, don't look at them as your sugar daddy, even though they might be. But again, this could be put in your plan. But again, you don't want to bank on it. And everybody says that. But, sometimes people say one thing, but in their heart, they're thinking another. Let's talk about spending. How much are we going to spend? What is our retirement? Can we really live the go-go years, Lord willing, healthy, enjoyable, or am I going to scrimp and save and stay at home and watch TV, watch Bob Barker. I don't know.
Nothing wrong with that.
No.
Scott McLean, McLean Advisory Group. This is Financial Insanity. It's out-of-the-box thinking for your financial sanity. And the number 609-488-4646, 609-488-4646. Asking the essential questions today when determining if you're going to have enough income in retirement. That was a great point about, well, things are going to be getting more expensive in the future. You do have to account for that always. But a third question to ask here, Scott, family issues affecting your spending. A lot of different possibilities here, but a lot of things, good and bad, can happen with family when it comes to your money.
Let's talk about those lovely parents who have special needs kids. This could affect your spending. This could affect the quality of life. This could affect, are you bringing your son or your daughter on the trip with you? So we hope you can. This is a very touchy point, but it's a point people need to be aware of. What is that cost going to be? Because you want to enjoy your family as best as possible. Do we have someone take care of them as my wife and I or my husband and I go out? My partner and I go out and travel. Who can take care of my children in that area? Or let's not only talk about children, Alex, but about those of you that are actually taking care of your mom and dad.
Yep.
Or a dog or a cat. And that is part of your spending. These little things do add up. How will that affect your spending habits? And of course, can you bring them with you? Can't you bring them with you? Or is it possible or impossible?
Mm-hmm.
Spending. When you think about spending on top of that, Alex, in the first years, you got the go-go years. Do we have enough money to keep lasting? Will it last a long time? I'd like people remember the rule of four. The rule of four. We'll go over that in a minute, Alex, I think. But the rule of four is simply take a certain amount of money and do I need an extra, let's say, $1,000 a month? If you want an extra $1,000 a month with the rule of four, 1,000 times 12 obviously is $12,000. The rule of four is if I have money in a 4% account, well, that means you have $300,000 if you're just living on the interest. So we spoke about this early in this segment. Do I need to reallocate my portfolio for income, not growth, for income? So on the first of the month, I know there's going to be a check in the checkbook. I know the money is going to show up in the mailbox or in my checkbook, I should say, and I know it's going to be there. So the rule of four would be a basic thing, even though interest rates are very yummy right now. But I can tell you, if you listen to our last segment, if you those lucky enough to listen to our last segment, if you didn't, you can go online and listen to it, of other different areas to get money at a nice 4 or 5%. Nice savings account. So again, how are we spending money? Where are we spending on it? What's the left hook? Another area of family, Alex, I forgot to bring up was your children. Some of you out there may have a child that keeps asking for money.
What?
And
that never happens.
Hey, Dad, Mom, I'm a little bit lean on my mortgage. Can you help me? Well, I'm not going to tell you to help them or not help them, but this affects. Mm-hmm. Hey, Mom and Dad, my son needs, your grandson that's a great ball player. He needs new shoes and a baseball bat. I was talking to my daughter. These stinking bats cost like $400, these fancy bats for these little rat kids. I'm like, holy crap. Yeah. I used a wooden bat. Now they got these fancy bats.
Oh, don't go back in my day on them, Scott. Come on. Don't go there.
So kids can actually use their beautiful little eyes and start to pull money out of your wallet. Are you subject? Are you enabling them or disabling them? Remember, this retirement is your retirement. This is the go-go years. The first 10 years of retirement usually is the go-go years.
Yep.
Then you go into the slow-go years. You're not pulling out as much. But again, do you have enough nerve to say to the kids, no, this is for Mom and I, or my partner and I, my beautiful lady friend, my boyfriend, whatever. Is this enough? And I can't keep helping you out here. The cuss word is 2 letters. It's no, But I know a lot of people have a hard time. By the way, I have a hard time. I love helping my kids if I can help them.
Sure.
But if I know they're doing the wrong with the money, they're not getting a daggone penny. So again, know how to say no. You got a lot of people with big hearts out there that are willing to give up money.
Yep.
That's them. This is a tragedy.
And it's one of those things, too. We can ask all the questions, but one of the points is that there's going to be things that you cannot predict that happen in retirement. And so you have to have money set aside. As we talk about family, maybe your son or daughter goes through a divorce, and that leaves them in a different financial situation. And now you're kind of stepping in to maybe let a son or daughter live with you, or maybe you're helping them with rent or with needs for children, or, there's so many unpredictable things. So I think that's just a good point, Scott, is that we can ask all these questions, which we need to ask, and we're going to go over them today. But there's also just those things that you cannot predict. And so you have to try to protect yourself with that kind of stuff as well. And Scott, we just have a couple minutes left here of this segment, but I think just drive the point home that you also know what questions there are to ask of someone that maybe people don't even know when they're thinking about figuring out how much income they're going to need in retirement. You know what to ask.
Alex, when I look at the 3D approach, the dollars, how much they have, the dreams, the desires, and the legacy, by looking at the tax return along with the estate planning, and then finding out where you want to go. What does your retirement look like to you? How do you want it? I really want a wonderful retirement. I want to really enjoy life. How does that set up? And these are questions that need to be asked, not once, Alex, but probably several times throughout 3, 4, 5 years. Maybe every year you review these questions and you change the game plan if you have to. Because if you don't change the game plan, you find out you're burning more cash. As I spoke to a woman just yesterday, she's helping the kids out to start their own store. I said, you need to stop this or you're going to be out of money. And remember, he said, you don't want to be the cat woman eating cat food? This could be you. Call my office, 609-488-4646. Scott McLean, I will help you. I'll guide you. No cost, no obligation, 609-488-4646. I'd love to help you.
3 more questions to ask when figuring out if you'll have enough income in retirement. On the other side, this is Financial Insanity.
Hey, this is Scott McLean. I want to wish you guys a tremendous, wonderful holiday. Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, and all the lovely greetings we have for you. Proud to be in your life as we try to give you the financial information so you don't go insane. Happy holidays.
It's nice when you get everything on your list in one place, isn't it? Scott McLean from McLean Advisory Group agrees. That's why he offers comprehensive retirement planning all under one roof. You shouldn't have to go one place for tax planning, another for estate planning, and another for retirement income planning. That's why McLean Advisory Group was started. Scott wanted to build a company that could help families with all aspects of their retirement planning. McLean Advisory Group is more than just convenient. They're knowledgeable and experienced. And for answers for your questions, you can set up a meeting with Scott and his team to talk about your retirement. 609-488-4646. That's 609-488-4646. Use the same number to reach the team online. 609-488-4646.com. Investment advisory services are offered through Bell Point Asset Management, LLC. Firm offers insurance services but does not provide tax or legal advice.
I'm on the fence about a real tree. I've done the real tree. When you have that fake one that's in 3 different pieces, you just bust it out every year and you take a second and it's already got the lights attached to plug it in and boom.
I do like the smell. I do like the smell of those Christmas trees.
Yeah, but you can get that smell, in different ways. But anyway.
We made it back. This is Financial Insanity with Scott McLean, presented by McLean Advisory Group.
We are asking some essential questions today to help you determine how much income you're going to need in retirement. Last segment, we asked, how much are you spending right now? How will your spending change in retirement? And how will family issues affect your spending? Scott, the 4th question today, will your taxes be higher or lower in retirement? I think I know the answer.
Well, it's not a set answer. I would think everybody think would be lower. You're correct, Alex. But let's assume you're a teacher and your spouse is medical, and you have a 401k and a 403b, you have a pension, and so you do a rollover. You roll over your money. Government allows you to move your money out of the company's plan, and because you'll do that wonderful rollover, wonderful, we've protected that money, and you're not 73 for the requirement of distribution. Usually when you retire, it's lower, but if let's say your spouse is getting $5,000 a month in pension and you're getting $5,000 a month in pension, well, that's all ordinary income. It could be higher than what you thought because you thought it would go down. Then you turn on Social Security, maybe too early. Maybe you should take money from a non-qualified account, let's say a checking account, savings account, money market account, a CD. Maybe you should take it from other different accounts than an IRA account. Why? Because the higher the marginal tax bracket is, the more you're going to have to pay at tax time. So you thought, no, I wasn't going to pay that much money in tax. You find out, wow, went from 15% to 13, not a very big savings. So again, this is why the advisor that you're working with needs to look at the tax returns on a yearly basis to see how has your circumstance changed. Now, in retrospect, if you're living on Social Security and you're pulling a little bit of money out of your accounts, your IRA accounts, frankly, you could have a tax-free tax return, and now you're paying zero in tax. And for those people that actually invested money into some unique insurance type of products that you can pull out money tax-free and still have the estate if you pass away, you may have a tax-free retirement. On top of planning session says maybe you've been putting away money into a Roth IRA. Now you're pulling money out of the Roth IRA. You're pulling out of the money out of the non-qualified money. You're pulling out of money from Social Security, and then you turn on your pension, or you don't. Again, looking at that tax return could be, hopefully you're living at a lower taxable income, but the marginal tax bracket, and as the advisor looks at the tax returns on an annual basis, which is why our firm started the tax practice in 2008, Alex. We actually do taxes for our financial clients. We charge them a lot of money. It's $125, Alex, for a full tax return, unless they have some other fancy stuff like the real estate and stuff. But basically, the tax return is $125 because I want to know, they don't have to do tax with us, what's going on. It gives us heads up, hey, something changed. But another thing that can change for those of you out there, what if someone dies and you inherit money? And now you have to pull out money from the inheritable money. And the new law says, 2020, you got to take it out within a 10-year period. It's called a stretch. You can stretch it over the 10 years. Take it all out now. Take a little bit out. Should you convert it to a Roth? And these are great questions. Again, someone dies. When we get these questions all the time, Alex, when people call us at our studios, and they say, well, Scott, I just lost my mom and she passed away. I received her an inheritance and a lot of it's IRA money. How do we handle it? Please come in. Give us a call at our studios, because taking too much out could really affect a no taxable retirement to a huge taxable retirement. And this is why you need to really analyze and kind of really view each person individually. This is not a cookie cutter deal, Alex. This is not so yes, at the beginning, should your tax be low retirement? Yes, we all think that, but don't think too deeply. You need to really dive into the depths of how you're pulling money out, where you're pulling money out, and then just for those of you out there, could you have phantom tax? Phantom tax is an unknown tax. So when the stock market drops and you have non-qualified money in the stock market, let's say you have mutual funds in Vanguard, T. Rowe Price, maybe you have Scudder, and they make a profit within the stock market portfolio that dropped, you could pay tax on long-term capital gains. You scratch your head, how could I pay tax when my account went down 30%? Well, that's called phantom tax. So this is why it's really important as you do your 3D approach to planning. You look at the dollars, the dreams, And then of course, your dynasty, how does it pass on so the kids don't get whacked as much in taxes? This is important, Alex. This is a lost art in our field.
Absolutely. As we're asking some essential questions today, helping people determine how much income they're going to need in retirement. And we just had a question there about taxes. We have two more questions left. Here's another one. How could inflation, Scott, impact your retirement assets?
Well, that's easy. I think everybody knows that. If your portfolio did 10%, if you're lucky, and inflation is 8%, your real return is 2%. So when you look at that, look at the cost of eggs and bacon and cereal and toilet paper. Things are gone up. It's been rapidly going. We've never seen such a rapid increase. Alex, you're seeing this, I guess, for the first time in your life. But for us older people who have been through this, this is really the most exponential, rapid inflation we've ever seen over the past 18 to 20 months. And so when you look at the impact, yeah, we're going to go out and get a little cocktail beverage, adult meal and drink, and we find out we're not paying $55, we're paying $100. That could affect how much time you can go out. Maybe you need to go to Happy Meal and cut it in half and split the Happy Meal versus because inflation is so out of control. Maybe it's going to affect the way you retire. This is why we spoke earlier today, Alex, or at one of our other times we got together about planning for retirement and how much should you set aside and the rule of 4 and how does that work? If you have questions out there, guys, and you're facing this, these are very basic questions, but when they hits home, it's not basic. It becomes real. Basic is 1 + 1 is 2. But real, how does it affect you? 609-488-4646. If you have a question, and I'm sure I'll be able to answer for you. If I don't, I guarantee I'll find the answer for you the best I can. Give our studios a call. Ask for Bonnie. When you ask for Bonnie, 609-488-4646, she'll set a time we can meet together. I am very busy. It is a wonderful time of year. I am thankful that you're listening, but I'm not thankful if you've got questions you don't call us because you're putting your desires and your dreams aside, because I'm here to help you, hopefully like your answer man when it comes to money. Don't put that aside. Don't delay. And of course, procrastination is the mother of disaster. Don't put it away. Love to hear from you. Alex?
Yes, 609-488-4646 is that number. We have one final question. So to recap, as we're going through the essential questions to ask when determining how much income you're going to need in retirement, we have 6 of them. The first one, how much are you spending right now? The second question is, how will your spending change in retirement? Third question, will family issues affect your spending? Then we asked, will your taxes be higher or lower in retirement? How could inflation impact your assets? And the final question today, and we all know the answer to this one, and I'm saying that tongue-in-cheek, how long will you live? But we do have to consider this, Scott. People are living longer.
That's that's between you and the Lord. The Lord we all have a clock. I don't know what my clock says, but if I look at my mom and dad, Daddy died at 74. Mama died at 75. My clock, if I go by them, is longer. Then I look at grandma and grandpa's clock and they lived to 84 and 86. I hope I have their clock. We don't know. But will your money outlive you, or will you outlive your money? And this determines on all those wonderful questions you asked, Alex, because it leads into, how do I plan for my retirement so I have a steady stream of income? Inflation, not inflation, a low rate of return, stock market collapse, we go to a war. There is lots of questions. And in your final questions, we talk about how much income you need in retirement. And how long will you live? Well, how much need for income retirement? That goes to your budget, is the first phase. Then it goes to your dreams. How do you want to travel the next 10 years? Or what do you want to do? What kind of fun do you want to do? Maybe you want to stay around the house, put a wedding on for your son or your daughter. Maybe you take care of your special needs child and have a wonderful life and spend time with them. Or maybe your husband or wife, lights are going dim. How do we enjoy this process the best way possible? How can we be thankful in everything and everything give thanks? We talked about that because Thanksgiving time, but we think about all of these areas. How much income is needed? This is a great formula of the rule of 4. Then, of course, it goes on the rule of 4. If you don't know the rule of 4, give our studios a call, 609-488-4646. Let me guide you the rule of 4 and how it fits into your portfolio. But then how long do you plan on living? Well, I don't know that answer. I'm not the maker and the creator. I do believe in the maker and creator. The question is, I didn't make or create you, so I don't know. But what I do know is, do we have enough so we don't outlive our retirement? As that one woman I spoke to, she doesn't want to live on cat food, although it may be more nutritious. I don't know. but
well,
the question is going to
pet
be
food they make nowadays. It's hard to distinguish anymore what's human and what's.
I agree.
It's wild.
That's you out there. You know what? These questions we brought in today are real. I hear them often, and it's so normal to get these questions, but everybody isn't the same. This is not cookie cutter solutions for anybody I meet. Each person is so individual. Perhaps you're going through a divorce, game plan change. Perhaps your spouse or your partner died, game plan change. Maybe they chose the pension option. Option means if you die, the pension goes away. Game plan change. Wouldn't that be better to know that now than later? Wouldn't that be know that if you have a good long lifeline, like some of my friends, their parents died at 75, like me, or those of you who are really blessed, their parents died at 90 or 100. You know what? This is a good indicator how you should really plan. It's not the all set it and forget it, but this is what you discuss every year. And this is why we talk to people about their dreams, their dollars, and their dynasty on how it fits within the taxes, the legacy or will, power of attorney, living will. Should you hide your assets into a trust? Again, what is the impact on your retirement? What's the impact on the money that you leave behind and how they be taxed? This is important, Alex. That's why you talk about the 3D planning.
Yep. I love it. Yep. Again, that number 609-488-4646, 609-488-4646. This is Financial Insanity, out-of-the-box thinking for your financial sanity. This is Alex Dingman of Financial Insanity with Scott McLean, wishing you a happy holidays. I hope you have good health and get everything on your wish list. Thanks for listening.
Who likes uncertainty? Wall Street certainly does not. With near record inflation and partisan politics, there's a lot of uncertainty right now. What will America's future look like? What will your future look like? Will your taxes go up? Will your savings go down? For more than 40 years here in the Jersey Shore area, Scott McLean and the team at McLean Advisory Group have seen uncertainty come and go. No matter what the future holds, Scott can help you create a plan designed to preserve your finances in uncertain times. And it's not a matter of if those uncertain times will show up, but when. Call 609-488-4646 now to meet with Scott McLean and the team at McLean Advisory Group. If uncertainty is causing you to feel insecure, Scott McLean might be able to help. Call 609-488-4646 and schedule your visit today. Again, that's 609-488-4646. Investment advice is offered through Bell Point Asset Management, LLC. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal.
Lots to think about when you're heading into retirement. One of those things is whether or not you should continue working. This is the retirement yay or nay segment. So a survey by Express Employment Professionals, staffing agency, indicating 79% of workers between 57 and 75, 79%, nearly 8 out of 10, say they would rather be semi-retired rather than fully retired. Scott, does that make sense? And what are some possible pros and cons to this kind of approach?
What a crazy statement. I remember I laughing because I'm thinking about mom and dad. And I remember when daddy retired and he calls me up. I'm in New Jersey. He's in Florida in Jacksonville. And he says, son, I got to get a job. I said, but daddy, you're retired. Son, I want you to understand I love your mother. I just can't be around here all day.
Hey, you got to be honest in relationships,
And I started laughing. I didn't understand. I was a lot younger than I am now. And, good thing mom and dad are in heaven hanging out waiting for me.
Heck yeah.
Got good news. They can wait. But that stays in my mind when you made that statement, because first of all, I don't know how people can turn the engines off. Me, I'm looking at expanding my firm, but other people are enjoying their retirement. God bless everyone. The question is, when you retire, the hard challenge is, should you keep working? Well, find something. If you love your job, then frankly, you're not working. That's me. I don't have to work. We're blessed enough. I love our clients. I love people. I will continue to work until God calls me home, as far as it looks right now. And luckily, he hasn't called me. The second thing is, other people maybe want to try a different vocation. Maybe they go from being a nurse, a doctor. Maybe they're a toll collector. Maybe they're a sanitation engineer. Well, that's okay, but they want to do something else and they want to find something. So maybe they want to work. So I can't answer that question for anybody here, but dadgummit, my best friend in Jacksonville, Florida, Dale, always makes fun of me because I want to work 100 miles an hour. That guy could sit in his yard, sit around the campfire and have a couple adult beverages and enjoy life. Good old Southern boy. We grew up since age 6. And he always makes fun of me and teasingly because I'm 100 miles an hour. Difference of personalities. Dale likes to rake his yard. I like talking to clients. I can afford someone to rake my yard, but I love talking. So what is your vocation? Don't just leave to leave. There's got to be a compelling reason. Maybe you want to travel with your beautiful spouse or husband, wife, and maybe you want to take a trip. Maybe you want to take care of dogs and or cats, and maybe you want to get in that. Maybe you want to go out and maybe start a lawn service part-time because you love taking care. I don't know what it is, but I can tell you, you better have some type of game plan, because you could be watching Price is Right and that crap gets older, I can tell you. For sure. So let's say you're 65 years old. You want to go from company A and you have a 401k, and you want to go to company B and it has a 403b. Well, and you love your work. One mistake I found is you roll the money over to an IRA. Now, why would that be a mistake? Well, maybe you plan on working a long time. Maybe you should roll it over to the new company if they accept it, so you don't have to take the required minimum distributions at 72. Now, frankly, if you don't think you're going to be working until 72, then you roll it over to an IRA, and you've got a lot of universal products that you could buy or get involved in to protect your money. In these times right now, whether they're good times or bad times, you need to invest that money. So the question number one is, if you're going from job A to job B, should you roll over the money to a plan? Next thing is what choices they give you. This is really important. And in retirement, you know what? If you love what you do, find something else. Speak to your spouse or a significant other. If you're by yourself, maybe you want to go mountain climbing or water skiing like my sport, or just hang gliding like I did. I can tell you there's a lot of fun things, but you got to figure out what you're going to do, and what kind of fun is it going to be?
Maybe you need a first opinion. Maybe you need a second opinion about whether you should keep working, how much in retirement. Either way, Scott can be reached at 609-488-4646, 609-488-4646 at .com for the website. So earlier, we'll just call it 80% of workers between 57 and 75 said they'd rather be semi-retired rather than fully retired. So Scott, is this just the end of retirement as we know it?
No. And I think the biggest thing is, and what we spoke about, Alex, is, I forgot to bring up the health coverage. The insurance is before you leave work. You may just want to stay there and get the health coverage because maybe you're 63 years old.
Sure.
And Medicare is not kicking in until 65. And the health insurance could be as expensive as ever. So I forgot to bring that up as a downside of retiring. Maybe you get a part-time job that offers health benefits. This could be beneficial. And what if you have a wonderful spouse who has no health coverage? Or like my conversation, we were putting a trust together for a client, and they have a special needs son. He's on the insurance. Well, that's a whole nother world on the area of part-time or full-time, whatever. Now, other areas of part-time work, Alex, I'm not sure, but you think about taking Social Security too early. Should you take it or not too early? Should you keep working? And so I don't want to leave that out. I think I might have left it out a little bit before. I hate to. There's so many choices that could drive your money in the ground, and especially if the stock market is dropping, it could really cannibalize your assets and make you have to work.
Well, and Scott, people generally are healthier, generally living longer, and therefore could possibly have a longer retirement. Where in the past, 10, 20 years, maybe it's 20, 30 years. And so you have to account for that, Scott. And that's just a longer amount of time, obviously, to have a steady paycheck or something there to fill that gap. And so that's what makes this so interesting. You don't want to just retire, have nothing to do for a lot of reasons. Financial is definitely one of them, but also, like you hinted to earlier, a lot of it's just mental as well, and your physical health, and giving yourself some purpose and keeping that brain sharp.
That's so important. The purpose. Maybe the purpose is those of you right now that are in or near retirement. Maybe you're in retirement. You need to find a new hobby. You need to try a new sport or maybe a new venture. Maybe you need to try go out, you and your significant other or spouse, or meet new friends, be around people. Don't just cavitate yourself, lock yourself into your room. Just get out and enjoy what we've been so blessed with, this beautiful country. I mean, we could talk about the Democrats and Republicans and get all stuck in the muck and not enjoy life. This is disastrously depression. Leave the politics aside and just be a friend. Just love on people. We're allowed to have our own opinions. And when people aren't allowed to have their own opinions, get away from those people. If they don't respect you, then you don't need to be around each other. We all need respect. And especially times like this, coming out of the COVID area, coming out of the, being isolated. Oh my gosh, it is so many devastating things that are come down the line because of this. Get out and meet people, understand what you're doing. But again, as you said, be very careful with your money, because we're living a lot longer. And by taking out too much money in the go-go years, are you going to have enough money in the slow-go years? Are you going to run out of money? And we talked about that in several of our shows, Alex, called reverse dollar cost averaging, where you have to pull a lot more money out. You have to sell a lot more shares just to get the same income. So positioning your money to last a longer time so you have a income that will last the rest of your life. That's why people call us at our studios. Scott, how can I have that income that will last the rest of my life so I can put my head on my pillow and say, I can sleep well at night? 609-488-4646. I'll be able to talk to you if you'd like and maybe help you with some of those areas of concern. I'd love to talk to you. 609-488-4646 before you make the arduous decision. Where do you invest? Should you retire, not retire? And what are your options? There's a lot to discuss, Alex. Guys, I was thinking about this gentleman who went back to work to celebrate his 100th birthday. This one guy in Jersey, however, decided to do exactly the opposite. His name is Bill Hansen, and he celebrated his 100th birthday by returning back to his work, which he diligently for 32 years loved. And so Fred Hutchinson, the CEO of Hutchinson Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling, well, he signed an agreement to go back to the work for one day. And he welcomed with a big birthday cake and a full day of assignments. He loved it. And he took off about 15 minutes after we signed the agreement. He said the agreement, he got to work, and the Hutchinson said he had to spend a lot of time where he could be at the company before he retired at age 97. And he didn't have much to say for retirement life. He said, quote, I hate being retired. I never had a job where I didn't want to go to work in the morning. Hansen said, and he attributes much of his happiness in life to his love of his work. his wife, and his family. You see, for retirement, it could be forever. But what is your forever? Is it working? Is it enjoying life? It's about what you have and the quality of your life. Quality of your life, psychologically we spoke about, emotionally, and financially. Can you do it? Make that decision. I'd love to talk to you. 609-488-4646. This is important.
Scott opened up the Veterans Benefit Advisory Group in 2008 to help veterans and their families, guiding them to these important benefits. Again, that number, 609-488-4646. The number for Scott McLean, McLean Advisory Group, 609-488-4646. And again, a special salute and thank you to all of our veterans.
This radio program may contain information which has gone regulatory or other significant changes since its original recording. The information and views expressed on today's show is educational in nature and is not intended to be a recommendation for any specific investment, product, strategy, plan, tax, or legal advice. Information presented is believed to be factual and up to date, but we do not guarantee its accuracy. Investment advisory services offered through Sound Income Strategies, LLC, a SEC-registered investment advisory firm. McLean Advisory Group and Sound Income Strategies, LLC, are not associated entities.
This radio show is a paid placement.